Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to my Live at 5. This week we have a very, very special and potent chakra we're going to be exploring. That is your heart's fire. For anyone who's seen the movie Onward, Heart Chakra. Reflects is the color green, which is one of the more important elements about it, more significant, which you see in the summertime when everything is blooming, everything is green, and nature in of itself is green. It is the color of love. It is the gift to you that everything that creates you and life is that of love. It is the heart chakra, the earth's heart chakra, reflected through nature itself. What's beautiful about that and significant is that everything from nature is what heals and opens the inception of energy to our root chakra. It's nature that provides for us our basic needs, our shelter. Our primary fears are the fear of loss of our necessities, basic security. And nature gives us our shelter. It gives us the ability to have warmth and be dry. Nature gives us fire, warmth, heat, tools. Nature gives us our food. Nature provides everything from its heart chakra. Everything is from love. One of the other more influential parts about how the color piece plays into this chakra, more so than all the others, is that in food. And Ashley has an entire segment in her book, Beat the Change, Their Guide to Elemental Growth, about food nutrition and eating the different colors of the rainbow. There is a spiritual science behind how each color matches to its aligning chakra. And it's really important to especially remember for your body's safety and health benefits to eat the greens, because this is the types of food that will these are the types of food that will heal your heart. And it's just an absolute phenomenal fractal of how the color green fits into so many pieces of life. Take a moment and give a thought to what are three things that give you love every day, and what are three things that you love, three things that you give and invest love to. Could be your house, your habits of cleaning, maintaining your space, your living quarters. Could be for your job, friends, family members. We give love to only the selected. The things that we choose to spend our time and our energy on, when aligned, are that of love. Those are the things that are the non-negotiables. Negotiables. We give our energy to the priorities. What's priority for you? Some of us, simply being a parent, that gives you the clearest idea of what love and priority can truly mean. And very much like how with nature it provides everything, it is the source of life. What we love most is our children, for those of us who are parents. And for those of us who aren't, likely still love their families. So let's take a moment before I get too deep in. I'm going to do a quick basic chakra analysis. We're going to ground ourselves in, align ourselves to the energies around us, clear our minds, and open our hearts. Close your eyes and take a deep breath. And as you exhale, imagine in your third eye you are entering into your body through your forehead and traveling down right into the base of your spine. Sit in your root chakra. Take a moment and think of 1 to 3 fears that you have. A very quick way to find fears, especially if you're dealing with ones that you may not want to face. You can cross your fear chakra with any other chakra. You can have a fear of guilt. You can have a fear of shame. You can have a fear of the loss of motivation. You can have the fear of loss when you get into the cross-referencing to the heart chakra. You can have a fear of grief. You can have a fear of lies, a fear of rejection, negative verbal cues, confrontation. You can have a fear of illusions, the illusions that are brought forth from those lies. You can have fear of losing. You can have a double fear on your crown chakra when it comes to releasing attachments, because you can have your fear of loss of those attachments, and you're just triple blocked. Think of 3 fears. Then what I want you to do is I want you to find 3 things that make you feel secure. Is it your confidence, your independence? Is it one of the other chakras? Another very quick way to heal and open all chakras are to cross-reference it with your heart chakra. So instead of having fear of love lost or grief, you can love trace elements of it, of what you fear. You can love your fear. You see how it serves you, and it comes across to you as this is a lesson, this is a skill set that you're learning to overcome it. You can learn to love the fear, and you heal the fear by finding security in it, by loving it. Take a moment and love something that you know gives you security in your fear. Sometimes a basic example of this is we don't want to die. Thank you, fear, for making us paranoid enough to look both ways before crossing the road. Fear can be your friend, but not your food. Fear is a useful tool. All the chakras, all the triggers are useful tools for which they teach us the areas that need to be healed. We can love all our chakras because of that. We can love all the issues that hinder and cause those energy blockages because we know there's something there that needs to be fixed. We run so much more optimally when we're healing, when we're healthy. Find your security. Take a deep breath. As you exhale, move up into your sacral chakra. This is our pleasure center, and it's hindered by guilt, guilty pleasures. I'm sure these days it might be easier to find some of these and identify with them than some other chakras. You can find them through cross-referencing them with your other chakras as well. Are you guilty because you're afraid to do something? Too afraid to take action. That makes you feel guilty. You feel guilty because you feel shame. The motivation, your actions. You feel guilty because your actions gave you shame. You feel guilty from a loss, a grief in your heart chakra. You feel guilty about lies, white lies, half truths, embellishing. I personally have gotten in trouble just for rounding time up. Tell people I wasted a half hour when it was 20 minutes. Feel guilty about that. We do it for our own selfish needs. We feel guilty about the stories we tell ourselves, the illusions, the disconnections, that we don't like somebody because of XYZ. We feel guilt about that because we know it's not quite true. Being selfish. You feel guilty about releasing an attachment. And like the root chakra, fear center, we can love our guilt. Guilt, neurotic guilt, is defined by having a long period of time pass from an incident and you're still dwelling on it. And see, neurotic guilt in general, like fear, is a good thing. It is our moral compass. We have to accept that if we have done something to wrong somebody else, that has happened already. We can't change that. But we can find forgiveness. We can love that we learned this lesson. We can love that maybe we hurt someone and we understand that it's something that we would never want to do to a loved one. We can love the guilt, and it can show us the areas that we need to heal, areas that we need to find confidence in. Take a deep breath. As you exhale, move into your solar plexus. Water center was the sacral. Fire center, the solar plexus. Earth is the root chakra, just to reiterate for that people. Fire center, our actions, our shame center. And like fear and like guilt, you can think of three things that you feel shame around. Maybe you were a procrastinator. Speaking personally, and your procrastination of taking action on something negatively affected people in your life, and you have shame that you acted too late. And you can love the shame by knowing what not to do again. You can love that you know to do it better next time. You can love that you've learned to take action sooner. The War of Art, a beautiful book, as I've mentioned in past videos, by Steven Pressfield, talks a lot about procrastination and how true artists need to learn to overcome the procrastination through loving it. Because we only procrastinate, we only, in general, feel strong emotions around topics that are very passionate to us. So if we're procrastinating, if we're having fears of perfection, fears of failure, fears that our actions are going to mess up, we have to love knowing that that is truly our course. That is our destiny. That is where our passion is. And we can understand that that's our true purpose, sometimes our truest purpose. And when we realize that, we can love it. We love it enough to face the shame, to face the guilt, to face the fear. Speaking through the hero's journey, I believe that's a very common one, is that the hero loves the girl enough to face his fears, or to be the hero in general. Finn's super big into Spider-Man, so I'll use Spider-Man 2. Tobey Maguire, where he gave up being Spider-Man, and it was fear of losing Mary Jane that made him put the mask We can love through anything. Now we come to our heart chakra. Take a deep breath. Exhale as you find yourself in your wind chakra, your heart chakra. Loss and grief are what hinder these energies. And then you can cross-reference that with every other chakra. Guilt of grief, shame of grief, guilt, shame of loss, fear of loss. You can hear how any chakra intertwined negatively with the heart chakra automatically gives you a crown chakra blockage. You don't want to let go. At the time of this world that we're in, this pandemic, take a moment. Think about what you're grieving, what you've lost. And like all the other chakras, the heart can still heal itself. You can love the lessons. You can love the grief and the loss. And the way to open your heart chakra is to associate it in energies to any situation and come from a place of unconditional love. A very powerful mudra for this is thumb to your pinky finger. Your pinky finger is the love energy. Your pointer finger is fear, to which when people are meditating, they're calling fear. And I use this one quite often. And when you can come from a place of unconditional love, what ends up happening is it flows into your throat chakra. And you're identifying that you are coming from a place of unconditional love. This changes the story that you're telling yourself, the fantasy, the illusion of truth around the situation. And you can see it for what it is. An example of this that I heard in a video that I was watching earlier is if you take a scenario where in a couple one has cheated on the other, and we understand the psychology that this person who committed the action would have been seeking a way to be loved and comforted in a way that they weren't already experiencing, in a way that they were lacking. And when we view the world, others, their actions, as well as ourselves and our own actions, from a place of unconditional love, we see that any mistake that we have made was simply because our heart chakra was entangled with one of the other chakras. We wanted to be comforted. We wanted to be happy. We wanted to have motivation to go forward to do something. We wanted to know the truth. We want to let go. And as I said last week, chakras that are on top of each other, yin yang, quite easily. And when we don't love our actions are that are misaligned, and we do things that we know aren't aligned. And so when we come from a place of unconditional love, it stems down into our actions, and we act in a way that gives value to the situation. We give value to the other person. We give love. We give an energy that they can love because it comes as a gift. Gifting, gift giving, and receiving of gifts is one of the love languages that I'll cover more in a moment. Can you think of a time that you've acted out of love to face one of the other chakra energy hindrances? You face your fears, to face guilt, own up for a mistake, face your shame, be accountable for your actions or lack thereof. Can you love the grief? Can you, if it's truly a loss of a life that isn't coming back, can you love that life, those memories, how they changed you and impacted you? Can you love a hard truth? Can you love seeing a happy outcome when you imagine a situation? Because when you can release. Take a deep breath. We're going to move into our throat chakra. Hard truths. People fear the truth. Often we fear knowing what we already know. And then bring up the chakras that can make you feel guilty, can make you feel shame, you lose motivation. When we love what we say, it doesn't specifically mean that we love to hear ourselves talk. When we put love into the negative affirmations and negative self-talk that we have had with ourselves, we change the wording, we change the phrasing. And the easiest way to heal every element of your body and your mindset, 90% of problems are mindset problems. And the best and fastest way to secure and heal that mindset problem is to love the story that we're telling ourselves, is to put love and words of affirmation into our mantras, into our truth, into the stories we tell ourselves. Core basic childhood concept of this little engine that could, because he always just told himself, I can. And he did. For a children's book and cliche, this is what all the foundation of success is based in. Is being able to verbalize to ourselves that we don't have limitations, that we don't have obstacles, to understand and speak positive, heartfelt truth. And that opens our third eye, and it lets us see that we're fantasizing what we see as predicting an accurate outcome of the future, we are just fantasizing, we're daydreaming about these bad things that will happen to us based off the other chakra energy hindrances, the fear and the guilt and shame. And when we put these positive affirmations forward by filling our words, our spells with love, we give ourselves a different illusion, an illusion spell of success. And because we can see it, we associate it with, as I said, we try to predict the outcome of our actions so we can see how we're going to influence our future, and we can then see positive actions, solar plexus, that we can take to accomplish the goals that we need, all through giving your throat chakra love, by loving the advice you give to yourself, by coming from a place of unconditional love. Take a deep breath. As you exhale into your third eye, imagine a world where each individual person was trained to look at situations from the viewpoint of unconditional love, replacing thinking of it as being a victim, as being attacked through paranoia, through fear. If each individual person was taught to fantasize an unconditional love situation for all situations, what would the world look like? What does your world look like to you? You have this feeling, when you can see your future clearly, you can release that energy through your crown chakra. Take a deep breath and exhale into your crown chakra. And take a moment to think of the attachments that, like with our heart chakra, we must grieve when we let go. And we can let go of them because, like when a loved one dies, we still have it. It's still a part of us, our history, who we've become. It influenced our story, our heroic journey. When you look at Harry Potter and, say, Dumbledore and his death, you love the character even more because of the iconic role it played to get Harry Potter as powerful as he was. And that's what we have to let go of. We come from a place of unconditional love, and we have the reverence and gratitude and respect to know that they, whatever you're releasing, has been a fundamental foundational role in who you are and how far you've come. Like a tool that has broken because you've used it up. Know that you're about to get better tools, better skills, and you can release them. Like in movies and games, when you get the power up, but you gotta let go of your old damaged gear, skills. You level up. You can let go of yesterday for tomorrow. Take a deep breath and release what no longer serves you, because you can give it unconditional love. This is the power of the heart chakra. Why it's intertwined with your actions and your truth. Every chakra genuinely is so important. They all play such a vital role. Our heart chakra, one thing that is very good to know about how to express unconditional love to other people does come into the 5 love languages. We can address our mantras and our affirmations, and we can adjust our mindset and express unconditional love internally to give the vibration focused outward. So the people in our presence know who we are on the inside. They know what our intentions are, and they will be more attracted to us. And then to further express love languages, make sure I don't skip any. There's touch, so hand holding, hugging, pat on the back, shoulder rub, can be consoling, can be a high five, a congratulations. Words of affirmation. You did a really good job. Expression of gratitude. I really appreciate what you did for me. I love you. Do you know how important what you just did is? Verbalize. Go straight heart chakra through the throat. Acts of service. Help someone. That movie, pay it forward, play it forward. Where you have to do something nice for somebody, and then in exchange, as payment, they have to do something nice for somebody else. The people in restaurant drive-throughs who pay for the order behind them, an act of service. Quality time. Simply choosing to sit and be in the presence of somebody else, doing an activity together. Often it could be combined with the other two. You can do it as a gift and an act of service and quality time together. You can go to a concert, you can go camping, go on a picnic. And there's giving and receiving of gifts. And what's important about this is it's not just one sided. You can't just be giving people gifts your whole life without receiving anything. It's a love language when it's shared between somebody else, when it's communication. You are expressing love to somebody else and they are expressing it back. One thing that I thought was the most important lesson from earlier this week, and we went through it twice, is that you can express the ultimate healing frequency of the heart chakra, through the love languages, and especially through touch. And twice this week, there was a incident where something got broken and somebody was very angry or upset. And we learned how quickly that taking that person as angry as they are or as fearful as they are into your arms and giving them unconditional love in a moment of intensity, it can heal the entire moment. That act of service, which is also then quality time. It is a hug. It is an act of service, a gift, and touch. It is a word of affirmation, unspoken, to say, I love you. Hugging someone when they truly need it can be such a life changing event. I've even seen videos myself of when these public shootings have taken place and the person just goes up to the gunman and just hugs them and tells them it's okay. You don't have to do this. Everything is okay. And then they just put the gun down and hug it out and cry it out. A hug is the ultimate act of forgiveness. It's also why you see it in sportsmanships, in like even after a boxing match or MMA fighting. It's good sportsmanship, not just to handshake it, but to hug the other person that you were just physically trying to hurt and who was trying to hurt you. One of the most phenomenal healing methods that you have for healing that grief and that loss is a hug. It is an act of forgiveness. And through forgiving the other person, we are then able to find forgiveness. I remember a few years back, I met a businesswoman who practiced a lot of language training, body language training, and they introduced me to the concept of a heart to heart hug. And I'm like, what is this heart to heart hug? And they explained that it wasn't just hugging someone, where if you're hugging from the right, it would be your right chest region against their right chest region is to switch sides, and then it is primarily your heart would be in line with the other person's heart. And they explained how the electromagnetic field, our auras, are then able to connect and circulate energy together. And it was definitely a new concept for me at the time, and it is something that I would like to share with you, especially if through some harsh times that we may be going through right now, you're experiencing other people in your life or lives who may just need that hug, and how to give them the maximum amount of healing and forgiveness and unconditional love. And when we can heal our heart chakra, our heart fire, when we can open the energy, the inception of energy into the heart chakra, it has such strong potential through a positive mindset to heal all the other chakras almost automatically. the last technique that I'm going to give you today for healing your heart chakra, cooling in those energies, is the emotional intelligence and being able to identify the feelings of appreciation and gratitude. When we can sit and remember a time in our life where someone has come and eased that state of fight or flight within ourselves, and we feel, wow, you are a lifesaver. The gratitude, the appreciation I have, because you saved me from that imminent death or imminent debt, imminent threat. And we identify that it is the most strongest and powerful way to connect to an unconditional love frequency through gratitude and appreciation. And for those of us who journal, and I highly encourage everybody to journal, especially through pen and paper, it affects our minds and our physiology and our way of retaining the information much deeper than doing anything electronic or on a phone or a keyboard digital, is journal out a gratitude book. Write down for 10 minutes a day, 10 minutes at a time, sit and put everything that you are grateful for. This loops it down through your pleasure center, through your sacral chakra. And it ties into your fear center, your security center, because you're so grateful and appreciative for these things that make you feel secure. And even if you haven't identified that they make you feel secure, if you're grateful and you really appreciate it, as I explained, they're items and situations and people, person, place, things, and circumstances that have eased you out of a state of fight or flight and really given you that peace of mind that you can relax and go into a healing state. Write down what's important to you, who's important to you, and it's okay if you just point form it and just write the same things over and over and over again. As I said when we were in the solar plexus, it can even be one solid thing that gets you out of bed in the morning, that one thing that keeps you going. I guarantee you there's more. And the more that you identify, the more you write down, the more you visually see, the more the story that you change yourself through your throat chakra gives you a different vision of your life, different perception of you. And because you're coming at it from a place of unconditional love, gratitude, and positive regard and appreciation, you'll see your life as an upward spiral of positive energies and blessings. And it will heal you from being in a negative spiral of depression or anxiety. Just make sure I have covered everything. For anyone who's interested, it's a very powerful tool to know the sequence that the chakra analysis takes place in. Because once you learn this skill for yourself, it's something that you can apply to any situation. And you can train yourself and positively program and influence your mind and override negative energy, blockages, and hindrances. And you can reprogram yourself for success by knowing the basic steps of how to walk through each chakra and how each chakra can entangle with the others and how they affect it. If anybody's interested, I offer chakra analysis sessions. They run about an hour long, 45 minutes to an hour long, depending on how in depth we get. And it's a stunning tool that I've been using with myself for 3 years now to keep my body in a healing and healed state. And one thing that I thought was the most interesting is over the last week, I've known quite a few people who got pretty sick with a basic cold. And the one thing that they all had in common was they experienced a lot of stress and they weren't able to give their bodies that time it needs to decompress and relax and be out of the state of fight or flight, and be able to heal. And the chakra analysis is a really powerful tool to learn to be able to do that for yourself, to be able to ascend anxiety, to be able to overcome depression and these mental blockages. I'd like to thank you all very much for joining me tonight. If anything that I've said connects with you, if anything that you've heard here tonight is relevant to yourself or somebody you know, please send them the link. Have them come on over, check out Elemental Growth. You sharing this knowledge will help us get the word out of how we help people achieve their life goals and where they want to be, how to bridge the gap from where they are now to where they deserve to be. Next week, we're going to be covering the throat chakra. So I encourage everyone to have a pen and paper handy, take notes. I'm going to be going over a lot of different affirmations, the different types, essentially spelling, the art of spelling and wordcraft, and how different ways of phrasing a situation and our mantras and what we tell ourselves will trigger different feelings. One example of this before we head out is when you start an affirmation, I have so much gratitude and appreciation for. I truly love and appreciate fill in the blank. And we incorporate it with the I am, describing both our actions, what I am doing, and who I am, and what we identify ourselves as. So when you come up with affirmations, I am so grateful and appreciative that I learned the skills of writing affirmations to reprogram my mind to override fear, guilt, shame, anxiety, depression. I am so happy and grateful and appreciative of the people in my life, lives, the situations that from my past has led me to the successes that I've had. You can even do things like a room session or a gestalt session and go back into past experiences of trauma through meditation and rewrite the story, giving positive, unconditional love and gratitude for going through that point in time. And you can heal the traumas in your present. You can change that fantasized illusion that you may have based of failure in your mind through these techniques. It's extremely powerful, very important. As I was saying earlier, no one chakra is really any more or less powerful than the others. They're all detrimental, crucial, and interwoven into each other so in depthly. Thank you all so much for joining me, and I will see you next